We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Astros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
And we have the most famous Columbus Trey. He's the guy who did our voiceover. He also did the Thoughts by Dusty also. And I think I picked the third one. It was pretty good. So Columbus Trey, where can they find you at?
People can find me at Columbus Trey on Twitter. Spelled just like how it sounds.
And so we just call you Columbus?
That works for me.
Okay. All right, guys, don't forget, you can get Locked On Astros on the podcast app Himalaya, as well as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And when you get in your car, tell your smart device to play the podcast, Locked On Astros. So I think the biggest thing I kind of want to touch on today, I don't know if you mentioned it yesterday, Brett, but Springer did decline the qualifying offer, which means he is a free agent. I believe that the Astros, when they tried to extend him, they didn't offer him enough money, and so he's going to go out there and try to get the money while he can. He's 30 years old. He's not going to get any younger, so this is his chance for his big payday. So I want to kind of use this show as talk about what life will be like without George Springer on the Houston Astros.
So Trey, let's get your take on it, because you are a fan that is in a unique situation. You have Houston unique situation. Sorry, you have Houston ties. You live out in LA. Tell us a little bit about what you do professionally and what it's like being an Astros fan, but also having some ties and some local ties with the Dodgers, where you also kind of root for the Dodgers as well. Give us a little kind of background on you, and then tell us what you think about life without Springer.
My profession is I'm a filmmaker. I graduated from USC just a few years ago, and I've been working for places like Paramount, places like CBS Films, all these film places. Grew up in LA, born and raised, so of course I kind of had to like the Dodgers. Not that I hate that or anything, but yeah. So professionally, I'm a screenwriter, voice actor, film editor. So just everything within the realm of film. That's what I love to do. Just live in imagination, really. And if not for that, I'd probably be playing baseball or talking about baseball or trying to be on ESPN, doing anything there. So yeah, it's just lots of film, lots of entertainment. And growing up here, I played a lot of Little League. And after every Little League season, we'd usually go to Dodger Stadium at least once. So it's just, there's so many memories tied to being a Dodger fan growing up. But also there's the whole family connection, because I say 90% of my family is from Houston. So when I was little, I used to go to Houston and hang out with my grandmother, who would just have anything on the TV, really. And before I really even liked baseball, I just noticed, the Astros playing at Minute Maid Park. This was in probably like 98, 99. And it was just kind of love from there. It was just, I just loved it. It just caught me, and it just kept, but since the Astros kind of remind me more of family and more of when I was out there, I kind of stick to them more than the Dodgers.
So what do you think about life without Springer as a fan? Is it kind of hitting you? Is it still real? What do you think is going to happen?
I might be slightly in denial. I'm the type that likes to process it very slowly. During the playoffs, I had the Golden Springer jersey, and I just wanted to wear it every single chance I got, because everybody knew this was as likely as last year. And it's something that I feel like not a lot of Astros fans wanted to think about. I still barely want to think about it, because it's a hard reality. You don't want to see that guy in another jersey, but he has to do what's best for him, and he's going to, I bet. But life without Springer, I feel like I'm a bit more optimistic than the average fan. I feel like Bradley, I've been hearing a lot about Bradley, and that would be a cool signing. But I don't think it would be the absolute end of the world if we put a lot of resources into starting pitching and getting Brantley back. Because I looked at it like this. So Reddick is gone, and that's, I think, what, 13 or 14 million off the books there. And
yeah,
if Straw were to take his position, I think that would be an offensive upgrade over Reddick. Given that, just doing a little bit of statistical analysis in his minor leagues seasons, he never batted below, I think, 290 when he had 300 or more at bats in the minor league level in a year. He hasn't even had 200 at bats at the MLB level, just in total. So I figure I'm a big proponent of getting somebody up to the MLB level, letting them stay there for a bit, let them get used to it, and let them get going so you could really see what they have. So I think I might be way too optimistic here, but I think even if we didn't have anybody else in the center field position, I think Straw would be like a 275, 280 guy, get a lot of stolen bases, maybe even lead the team in stolen bases. And that would be great, especially with getting speed in center field. And that would be amazing. But also, I'm hearing a lot about Pedro Leon as well. I don't know how soon he would come up, but I think the future is just very bright in general. And all things considered, I think next year is going to be a great year.
awesome.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that Springer is going to sign somewhere before the end of 2020, because 2020 will be a year I'm going to look back at and have to laugh at sometime in the future. Brett knows what I'm talking about, but it just I think let's get all the heartbreak out in 2020 and let's just move on to 2021. And not that anything's going to be any better in 2021, but let's pretend like it is. So, but yeah, Pedro Leon, he is a guy who could be kind of fast tracked a little bit, especially with how much the Astros are going to have to give him as a bonus, signing bonus. So that's something that could happen. It could happen as soon as next year, because yes, there's some, like Colin Barber. I think I was reading something in MLB Pipeline today about he could be a 2020 guy type of guy, but there's not a lot of people in the Astros minor leagues right now at the outfield position that really gives you any like good feeling or something that they're going to be able to contribute in 2020, 2021. I think Miles Straw will do it. I don't think, I mean, he's got to prove us wrong. At this point, he is a 220 hitter. He's going to steal some bases. He may hit the occasional homer, but he's going to have to prove it during spring training, or else they're going to give it to somebody else. But I think that the Astros understand the situation, and they're probably going to try to bring back Michael Brantley. And then we may see them go out and get somebody else. And I really would not totally dismiss a whole not Josh Reddick, Jake Marisnick reunion. I think that he would be a perfect fit back playing center field for the Astros, maybe as a platoon type of guy. But I think that with Springer being gone, that's something we could look at. But Springer, for me, he was the face of the Astros. I know everybody would say it was Jose Altuve, but who was on that cover? Who was the guy always doing the leadoff homers? Who's the guy that won the MVP in the World Series after striking out, what was it, 5 times or 4 times in game 1 of the World Series? And he went on to have to be the MVP. So Springer was that light, and y'all can both probably feel this. When we were going through the whole process and the Astros were losing 100 games, what we had was that light at the end of the tunnel, and his name was George Springer. George Springer was the it's bad now, but once he comes up, that's going to be the start of something special. And it was, and he is a special player. I think that he's going to probably go to the Mets. I just think that with their ownership change, and my only thing is I'm a big George Springer fan, and Mets players, they have a tendency to get hurt a lot, and I don't want to wish that on him. So Brett, any thoughts before we move on to a different topic?
Well, I think if we're talking about Springer going, elsewhere, I think the Mets. I think you also got to consider the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have a considerable amount of money, and they are also talking to Jackie Bradley Jr. They're thinking about signing Springer, and that lineup we've talked about is so young and so potent. I mean, what kind of advantage would you gain in Toronto with taking someone like Springer, a seasoned veteran, and matching him up with these young boombastic sluggers? I mean, everybody talks about the Bronx Bombers, but that lineup, well,
in the Blue Jays, but in the Blue Jays lineup, but they don't have the pitching. We talked about this the other day.
They don't. No, they don't. But they did go out and get their relief pitcher. They do have Ryu still. I think Trent Thornton gets better with time. That's a guy that the Astros let go. But at the end of the day, Springer, from what I hear, and I haven't talked to him personally, but from what I hear on a personal level, it still is in the back of his mind that the Astros did hold on to him a year longer. Mm-hmm. It kind of ruined his eligibility. He could have come out last year as a free agent and made a lot more money. The Astros probably, I don't know if they would have signed him or not, but he would have had probably a better opportunity to make more money. And especially now that COVID hit and the lockdown and the truncated season, the salaries reduced. We don't know with 2021 from what John Bruton said. The Astros are planning on people being in the stadium next year at a limited capacity, at least being there. But Springer, I just, as much as I hate to say it, I think he's out the door. But I think it's not just because he has a sore spot. I think he's got family up in the, I guess, somewhere. Yeah. I don't know, Connecticut. I almost said UConn. That's where he went to college. But yes, his parents are up there. He wants to start a family. So who knows? But it's like Trey said. I don't think the future is as bleak or as terrible. Like someone's like, if Springer goes, the Astros are trash. I don't believe that. This is a team, and this is the ultimate team sport. You still would have Altuve if you sign Brantley. Altuve, Brantley, Bregman, Alvarez, Correa, Tucker, Yuli. And even if you put Marisnik in there, who's a great glove replacement with Maldi, that's still a hell of a lineup. I don't care who you put in center field. If you can get Bradley, great. But if you can bring back Brantley, then that makes needing a higher dollar center fielder kind of out of the mix. I mean, you don't have to go get Jackie Bradley Jr. You could survive with the Marisnik. You could survive with someone like that.
I've been imagining things, and what I want is for the Astros to offer Brantley maybe like a 3-year deal. I think he's 33 right now, 34?
34.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if they gave him a 3-year deal, maybe he plays a good solid 2 years. Hopefully there's no real injury concerns. But that last year, I can't help but remember how Carlos Beltran's role was with the team. And maybe he could kind of take that role in his final year, maybe also mentor some of the younger guys. Also in the minor league system, there's actually two guys that are kind of catching my attention. Chas McCormick, last spring trading, he kind of he surprised me. He surprised me a bit. And there was an article about him that said he had just been grinding and he finally developed the confidence and everything was coming together for him. And I want to see a little bit more of him. So I'll be excited to see more of him in spring training. And Ronnie Dawson has been in the minors for a bit, and I think it's going to be the time for him to try to either prove something or who knows what happens. But I think the future is, I feel like the future is so bright, so bright. And also I wanted to remark on the Blue Jays. They have a considerable amount of ties to the Astros, just in terms of like, they have Derek Fisher, they had Teoscar Hernandez, they have, Baby Biggio. They have so many ties to the Astros. I wouldn't be surprised if they did get Springer. And being from LA, once they got Ryu, I thought they were going to be a real contender after that. And they're getting there. They're getting there. So with another bat and some more pitching, I would prefer Springer went over there than to the Mets, because I don't care for New York teams. I just no.
Say it ain't so, Trey. Say it ain't so.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the top 30 list right now, and I know that's not the be all end all, but Ronnie Dawson did have a good year last year. He is one of the guys who could maybe make a name for himself in spring training. But if you look at the list, there's a few outfielders. Most of them are in the rookie ball. So it's kind of bleak, but we have to remember that Taylor Jones does play in outfield, so that could be another option. And Ledmus Diaz can technically play out there. And Jordan Brewer is another guy who's probably still maybe a year or two away, but this is a guy who a lot of people thought a lot of when he was drafted, and he's got a pretty cool baseball name, Jordan Brewer. So I think that's somebody to keep an eye on. But I think the Astros will, if they re-sign Brantley, it's going to only be for a 2-year deal. It'll be placeholder until somebody, one of these young kids comes up, or somebody makes a name for himself, or they go out and get the next, I don't know who's going to be a free agent next year, but this year, I think they're going to be really strapped for money. So I think you'll see them get one outfielder and maybe a reliever, and that's it, because I think baseball's hurting right now.
Well, see, I think they could sign. I think they could sign Brantley. Like I said, they can sign a budget center fielder, Jake Marisnick. You could still platoon Miles Straw in a full season. You can get Miles Straw enough at bats out there. Also, when you start looking at the Rule 5 draft, the guy that we know the Astros will protect is Forrest Whitley, because we still haven't seen him come to fruition. And the others that basically MLB is saying these are the guys they need to Rule 5 draft, keep a hold of: Forrest Whitley, Freitas Nova, Jerry Solis, Tyler Ivey, Jose Alberto Rivera, who's a number 14 prospect, Luis Santana, Peter Solomon, and Ronnie Dawson. Ronnie Dawson's a 29 out of their top. He's in their top 30. And so those are guys that they need to protect. Now, a guy that's coming up for protection, if he's not protected, I'm wondering if they'll go get him. Do y'all remember the JB Bustakis that they traded away for Zach Greinke? If the Diamondbacks don't protect him, is there a chance that, he comes back? That happens quite often in baseball, where they'll trade a guy, then Rule 5 he'll get, and they could pick him up. So out of those Rule 5 guys, I think the top 2 are probably your top priority. But if you think outfield depth is an issue, then you protect Ronnie Dawson, because I think he does have an upside. He seems like a solid hitter. He's got a solid frame on him. He can hit, and he's, from what I understand, he's got speed. So what do y'all think about that with Rule 5? Are y'all expecting Forrest Whitley to do something this next year?
He's got to. There's no this is his chance. He's got whatever I was trying to do the Eminem song in my head, but I couldn't think of it at the moment. But he's got to just
Trey. Eric has been trying to rap, or been trying to throw little ditties out there. So we need to. He's been trying to throw out some Eminem tunes every once in a while.
At karaoke a few weeks ago, I did "Pepper" by the Butthole Surfers, and the whole crowd was rooting me on, so I can semi-white rap. So,
wow!
And then once that adrenaline comes, you just get the spirits of rap that take over you, and you just, before you know it, you just spill it all out, and it's just perfect.
Like your mom's spaghetti, yes.
Wow!
JB does come back.
He won't.
I'm actually.
You don't think he will?
What are the chances that the Astros take someone else in relief in the Rule 5 draft, given that the bullpen is pretty young, and I think some of the players have remaining options. So if we take somebody else in the Rule 5, we can possibly send one of the younger guys back down, and just keep the Rule 5 draft picked up there, and he could. I don't know. I'm being really optimistic now. I really think Forrest will do well too.
Well, here's the thing. There are a lot of pitchers out there that are Rule 5 eligible. I just don't know where they are in each team's system. Like I'm not one of these like baseball savants where I'm like, Jose Soriano for the Los Angeles Angels, a relief pitcher, isn't it? He's like 1 year. I don't know these guys, and so.
Did you just make up that name?
No, I literally just read it off of the Prospect Space Roster Rule 5 decision on MLB.com by. I don't know who it's by. It's just, I guess, random writer. But yeah, and on the rapping front, no, I'm joking. Sorry, I digress.
I think the Astros actually have a chance to get somebody in the Rule 5 draft because yes, they made the playoffs this year, but they had the 8 teams made the playoffs, right? So they had the 16th best record, basically. So I think they're probably going to be in the middle. So they maybe have a chance to pick somebody in Rule 5 draft. The problem, Brett, is all those teams that are in front of the Astros, they had a worse record last year. They're going to want the same thing. They want cheap arms in the bullpen, and they're going to take a risk on somebody. And so I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. But the Astros have depleted their farm system. It is not as strong as it used to be. There are some cute names out there, but there's no sexy names out there anymore. I mean, Forrest Whitley is the lone wolf, but he's like, well, some days he can look sexy. Sometimes he could just be like, nah, I can find better. So he's really going to have to come out and shine this year, and we'll have to see what happens. So I want to go back to you, Trey, and kind of talk to you a little bit about Dodger Land. What was it like when the Dodgers finally won their World Series after 2 straight years of cheating and everything or whatever?
So here's something I realized. The way a lot of Dodger fans perceive it is that, all of these years since 1988, the Dodgers haven't won a World Series. So because the Astros did what they did, a lot of Dodger fans place all of the blame on the Astros. So that's 22 years of just hatred that they put on one team now. Not 22 years, but my math is horrible. But however many years that is of hatred just on the Astros because we ruined their chance. We were the sole reason they didn't break the streak that year. Though, I mean, if you look up many playoff statistics, the Dodgers ruined their chances many times by themselves, and I know that as a fan myself. So, and also it's really complicated being an Astros/Dodger fan after 2017 because before 2017, when teams and other fan bases didn't really take us that seriously. So when I would tell other friends that, I'm a Dodger fan, but yeah, I like the Astros more. They're like, oh, that's cute. That's
yeah,
cute,
that's
guys.
what I was about to say. They said that's
Right?
cute.
Exactly. It's like, you guys haven't really done anything. It's cool. You can like them. That's fine. Dodgers are just going to be the beast that they are, but you could like the Astros. They're whatever. And after 2017, check this out. That's when you get chance of, oh, you're a bandwagoner. You just started liking them, this and that. That's when I whip out my phone. I go on Facebook, I scroll to my profile pictures, and then I show them a picture of my 15th birthday where I have an Astros hat on and an Astros birthday cake. And I say, no, I've been this since 99. But yeah, but after that, it's nothing but after 2017, it was nothing but vitriol and a lot of hate. And I do have a big opinion on the Dodgers win in 2020 compared to the Astros win in 2017 that a lot of LA people hate. So I've been saying that given that we just had a 60-game season, which is 27 games more than spring training, and the right. Dodgers win the World Series. And that's nice. Yeah, all teams had equal chance, and the Dodgers won. They were definitely the best team. No debate about that. However, when we take it back to the 2017 season and all these statistical analysis and deep dives into the cheating scheme and how it was actually factually a disadvantage. So in my eyes, the Astros won with a handicap in a full year of baseball with the cheating scheme only being at home. So that's 81 games. And it wasn't even completely confirmed that it was every single one of those games. Tony, you guys had him, I believe, on the show a while ago. I looked at his website and studied it, and I was so obsessed with it because of all the research he did. And it was found that there was on about 13% of the pitches at home, that's when there was a bang detected. So if you're saying on 13% of the pitches in 50% of the games, that was enough to give the Astros an advantage? I don't think so. And there's still the notion or the fact that it was a disadvantage because so many other factors. There's so many other articles, so many articles that essentially said that because the players were trying to guess with this new system, it kind of took them away from what they've been doing their entire lives and just playing baseball, just getting out there, seeing the ball, hitting the ball, instead of having to guess what the signs are, having to worry about other teams changing up their signs. And they ended up doing worse. I mean, the away stats were better than the home stats offensively. The very next year, 2018, 2019, there were many more. In 2019, the season with no cheating at all, as confirmed by the report, the season with no cheating at all, they blew the offensive stats of 2017 completely out of the water. So I bring this up to Dodgers fans, and they're not happy about that. They're not happy about that at all. But that's reality, and a lot of people tend to not be happy when things are too real for them, you know.
So are they still gonna be booing next year when the Astros come town if they play or whatever?
Definitely, but that is not going to change the fact that I'm going to wear my Astros hats wherever. I'm going to wear my Astros jerseys wherever. Astros shirts, Astros shoes. I done it all. I got it all.
Well, so we'll have to make a deal that if you are in Houston next baseball season for any reason, and there's a baseball game, we're gonna all have to take a game in together and make sure we chronicle that, and that would be a blast. You know, I've realized that no matter what you say to other people, they've made their mind up, and you can't tell them anything different than what they believe, because truth isn't really truth. It's more like perception, you know. And I was told
amen. Sorry.
Well, you know, that's okay. I was told that a long time ago by someone I worked for. It was a pastor when I was in ministry, and he said perception is reality. I was having a real hard time. I was a young youth pastor at a church in Texas, and there were these people that were just always like bad mouthing my ministry and always like making stuff up about me. And I went to my pastor, and I was like really crushed by it. And he said, well, it's not true, but it's their perception, and perception is reality. And the only thing you can do to change someone's perception is to be consistently real and to be authentic and to have integrity. And if you do those things, that perception will change in other people's eyes. And the only one that will have that wrong perception is the person who thinks it, and everyone else will know what the truth is. And so no matter what you tell people, they will perceive Jose Altuve as this horrible, awful cheater, when we know statistically it's just not real. It's just not a thing. But one of the things that I thought was interesting was I was listening to the Edge podcast with Ben Ryder, the second part of his last two episodes, and he's talking to Jeff Luhnow. And Jeff Luhnow basically said, he asked him, he said, did you guys do you think they used the cheating scandal in the playoffs? Okay. And he said, it would have been impossible. He said, not only the noise, he said the amount of people in the playoffs that are in the dugout, the amount of people that are in and out of the clubhouse. He goes, there's no way you have time to look at a monitor. There's no way you're banging on a trash can. He said, there is no conceivable way to say that the Astros did it during the playoffs. He goes, it's just not a realistic thing to think about. But you know what I do like to think about, Eric, is I like to think about Built Bar, because when I get tired and when I feel like I'm getting down, I need a Built Bar. And today, before I went to the gym, gosh dog it, if my wife didn't get me to the gym a fourth day in a row, I signed a Fit Camp membership today. I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to get back, and I'm going to get back in shape. And I got prepped because I ate a Built Bar, a strawberry Built Bar that has 17 grams of protein, 140 calories. It has only 4 grams of carbs and 4 grams of sugar. It is the best thing. And I literally can eat it 30 minutes before I work out, even a high intensity workout, and it satisfies me. It doesn't make me sick to my stomach. It's wrapped in 100% chocolate, Eric. It is the best protein bar on the market. So, hey, Trey, you need to get Built Bar. Go to BuiltBar.com and use a promo code Locked On for 20% off your first order. And while supplies last, you'll get a little cooler pouch, put your Built Bar in, take it to work. It won't be melty. It'll be good. It'll be delicious. Go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code Locked On for 20% off your first order.
All right.
I will be sure to do that. Also, something else you guys didn't know about my past. I'm also a certified personal trainer, National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer. So before I did film stuff, or when film stuff is in a bit of a downturn, I am helping people work out, get in shape, and the Built Bar sounds amazing. So I'm going to have to try that, because it's definitely important to have energy before you work out, because it fuels your muscles. And if you don't have energy before you work out, my cousin collapse. It's happened to me before. So get the Built Bar, or else you'll probably collapse.
All right, Trey. So the final question of the show is something I think a lot of Astros fans would be curious to know. What has been the stupidest thing a Dodgers fan has told you? Just in general.
Man, that's really tough. Hmm.
You can't
The
say everything.
So I think they were saying that the Astros should be demoted to a minor league team, and I was like what? How does that even? How what? Oh, okay, I guess that's justice in your mind. They would have no chance to play the Dodgers, so you'd love that. But me, every single year, I go into every single year rooting for one World Series matchup, Dodgers Astros. I'd love to see them play each other.
Yeah.
Love it. So I don't agree with the notion that they should be demoted to a minor league team somehow or be ousted from the MLB or any of that ridiculousness because it's pure ridiculousness, you know?
Well,
So hey,
unfortunately,
here's
the Rays ruined that this year. Otherwise, we could have seen the Astros versus Dodgers again. So go ahead, Brett.
no, I was gonna say. So here's the thing you need to tell them. I know. I think it was Molly Knight who just, oh gosh, her takes are so hard to just read. But she said something about how the Astros not only cheated, but they cheated low level employees out of bonuses from the Dodgers not winning the World Series. And this is what I would tell Dodgers fans: your Dodgers cheated low level employees out of World Series titles since 1988, and they should feel bad for that.
Hey, it's true. And also, I have a little bit of disdain for the Dodgers in terms of when I go live to see a live game. The last game I went to live with my father, he's the biggest Dodger fan, so he's very happy this year. But I wanted to take him to a Dodger game for Father's Day, you know. So I took him, and the Dodgers lost. I tried to do that twice, and the Dodgers lost. They lost in front of my father. Wow, how could you?
How rude. All righty. So, guys, that's all we got for tonight's Locked On Astros podcast. Make sure you go check out the Locked On MLB podcast of the week, which is the Locked On Prospects. It's something that is just recently started, and you can imagine with the Rule 5 draft coming up that's going to be something that's pretty big. And, guys, don't forget to check out the Locked On Astros podcast every day. Trey, thanks for coming on. And also, Brett, as always, thank you for coming on, and we'll talk to you later.